What if the ending was never about who survives, but about who was already lost from the very beginning? And what if every single scene in the finale was secretly building toward one heartbreaking truth that most fans completely missed? Because the final episode of Euphoria Season 3 doesn't just shock the audience, it completely changes the meaning of Rue's entire journey. From the opening minutes, the episode creates a feeling that something is wrong. Rue keeps escaping impossible situations. Every time it feels like she's trapped, she somehow survives. But that strange sense of safety is exactly what makes the ending so terrifying. The biggest question throughout the finale is, was Rue actually going to make it out this time? After everything she suffered, after all the relapses, betrayals, and pain, viewers finally believed she had a chance at a new life. That hope is what makes the last act hit so hard. One of the most emotional moments happens when Rue sits down with Ollie. Their conversation feels different from every other conversation they've had before. It almost feels like a goodbye hidden inside a normal discussion. Why? Because for the first time, Rue seems exhausted. Not physically, but emotionally. She isn't fighting anymore. She isn't running anymore. She isn't trying to convince herself that everything will be okay. Instead, she looks like someone reflecting on her entire life. And that's where the finale starts planting clues about what is coming next. Then comes the moment that changes everything. The pills. At first, it seems small, almost insignificant. But Euphoria has always used small choices to create massive consequences. When Rue takes the pills given by Alamo, most viewers think it's temporary relief from pain. But the terrifying part is that the audience knows something Rue doesn't. The danger isn't the addiction this time. The danger is the trap. And that's what makes the scene so disturbing. Because Rue isn't chasing a high. She's making what seems like a normal decision. Yet that decision becomes the final step toward tragedy. Then the episode shifts into a dreamlike atmosphere. The lighting changes. The pacing slows down. Reality starts feeling distant. And suddenly viewers begin asking, are we watching real events? Or Rue's final memories? The finale never gives an immediate answer. Instead, it lets the tension grow. Every flashback, every smile, every memory, every familiar face, they all begin feeling less like storytelling and more like a farewell. That's why so many fans were caught off guard. The show wasn't building toward a twist. It was building toward acceptance. And then comes the devastating reveal. Rue dies after taking fentanyl-laced pills. The moment confirms one of the darkest theories fans had all season. But here's the deeper meaning many viewers are discussing. Rue's death isn't presented as a dramatic explosion of chaos. There are no huge speeches, no massive final confrontation. Instead, it's quiet, painfully quiet. Because addiction rarely ends with a cinematic moment. The show wanted the ending to feel sudden, unfair, and heartbreaking, just like real life. Another major mystery is Ollie's final scene. Why does the camera spend so much time with him? Because Ollie represents the future Rue could have had. Throughout the series, he was proof that recovery was possible. He survived his past. He rebuilt himself. And in the finale, he becomes the person carrying Rue's memory forward. The dinner table sequence is especially emotional. There's an empty seat, a simple visual, but that empty chair says more than any dialogue could. It represents every conversation that will never happen, every apology that will never be spoken, every future that disappeared. Then the show delivers one final image of Rue, a smile, a memory, a ghost. And suddenly the audience understands that this isn't a scene about death. It's a scene about absence. But the finale leaves several huge unanswered questions. What really happens to Cassie now? Can Maddy finally escape the cycle she's been trapped in? Why did Bishop betray Alamo? And what would Nate's complete story have looked like if more answers were given? The writers intentionally leave these questions hanging, creating a feeling that life continues even when the story ends. The most controversial part of the finale is that many fans wanted redemption. They wanted Rue to win. They wanted recovery. They wanted hope. Instead, the series chose realism over comfort. That's why reactions online have been so divided. Some viewers call it one of the most powerful endings in television. Others think it's devastatingly cruel. But almost everyone agrees on one thing: it's impossible to forget. And maybe that's the real message of the ending. Euphoria was never a story about perfect endings. It was a story about consequences, about addiction, about love, about pain, about people desperately trying to find themselves before it's too late. The final shot leaves viewers with one haunting question: if Rue couldn't escape her darkness after everything she survived, was she doomed from the start, or was this tragedy created by the people around her? That single question is why fans are still debating the finale hours after it aired. And honestly, that's what makes the ending so unforgettable.